there's a real bell in there. It's not just for show. All right, what's up everybody? Today is Monday, November 25th. Yesterday was the Philadelphia Marathon. So if you follow Tansy Brothers on Instagram, you probably already know my results. But yeah, so I know in the video, my last video, I said my goal was to do a 2:44:59. And I'm gonna break down everything, how the race went for me, right from the morning of, all the way through. And at the end, I'll share 5 tips that have helped me, or maybe some lessons that you could apply to your training or racing, which could possibly help you in having a breakthrough marathon like I did. All right, let's dive into it. I woke up on Sunday morning at about 4:45. And just went through my regular morning routine like I'd been doing on all my previous long runs and weekend runs, so to speak. Had some coffee, went to the bathroom, had my pre-race or pre-run kind of meal and nutrition, which I'll probably do a separate video on my nutrition because my nutrition was very dialed in. I felt great the whole race, so more to come on that. But I planned, it was raining once I woke up. That was the forecast, was kind of rain all morning. It was coming down pretty heavy at the start at around 5 a.m. when I woke up, but it was one of those things that was just out of my control, so I didn't really let it get to me. So I left the hotel at about 5:50 to head over to the starting line. The race started at 7, and I had about a mile walk to get there. I was a little bit anxious about security. When I did the Marine Corps Marathon, security, it took 30 to 45 minutes to get through. And Regina crushed her half marathon on Saturday, so big shout out to Regina. Regina and her husband Chris ran the half on Saturday, and they had said that security was a little bit of a backup as well. So I was a little anxious of that in order to get to the starting line, so I wanted to get there pretty early. I ended up getting in that area probably about 6:10 or so, and it actually worked out perfect. They were just letting the runners, almost, if you were a runner, you stayed to the right and you just walked in. Essentially, there was someone with a flashlight that was checking that you had a clear bag, and they would kind of look at your bag quickly and you would walk in. Spectators had to do the search and go through the metal detectors and stuff. But after that, I hit the bathroom really quickly, found a good spot in a corral, and my dad actually waited right next to next to the gate, or the barrier, so he was able to hold my bag and stuff. And then I set out, did a little short warm-up. It ended up being a little bit less than a mile. I did a few strides in there, a few skips just to get the legs moving. It was kind of congested area because the security perimeter around the starting line didn't leave much room to warm up, but and then I, stayed nice and bundled up right up until about 5 minutes before the start. They started the national anthem, and actually someone took their poncho off right by me and essentially almost handed it to me to throw in the garbage. And I just kept it, and then, I took off all my warm layers and put on the poncho right up until about a minute to go to the start. The start, I was very happy with my starting spot. They had the elites, right in front of my corral. And once they moved the gate or the fence that they had separating us, they moved that at about a minute before the start. We were able to merge right up to the elites, but the elite women were right in front of where I was, which worked out well because there was a group of about 30 women that were trying to go for the 2:45 time, which is the Olympic standard for women. In order to get to the Olympic trials, you have to run an under a 2:45, or maybe it's a 2:45. But so I was in a good place. I was kind of right around a big group of people that wanted to run right around the time that I wanted to run. So the race started, and as I said in the last video, I was really looking to go out in control and go out nice and calm and kind of let the early miles just come to me, which I definitely think I did that. First mile was just a matter of getting situated, finding a good group, finding everyone was kind of jockeying for a little bit of a position on the turns and stuff. But came through the 10K. I have to I'll have to check that time. I came to 10K. I was pretty consistent those first 6 miles. It was they're an easier 6 miles of the race, but it was nice and nice to be relaxed and be with a bigger group of people. So in the race, there's what I thought was 2 pretty substantial hills. One of the runners next to me said that there was 3, but I was very controlled, especially through the first. I didn't realize that we went up the hill until we actually got to the top of the hill. I actually said to the person running next to me, was that the first hill? And he said, yeah, there's 2 more to come. That was probably, I think, about mile 8, which was one of my slower miles. Mile 9, I think, might have been my fastest mile, just because you come down what you just ran up on the other side. And then mile 10 was almost back up another hill, which again was a slower mile. And then 11, 12, and 13, 11, 12, 13, 14, I really started kind of getting in a groove. There was some flatter miles, took me through a big crowd area. It looped us back almost to the finish line. I saw my parents there. Again, my wife Diane it was a last minute change of events, a little bit of a family emergency, so she had to stay back. So it looped you right back almost to the start. So there was, a lot of noise, a lot of good motivation, and I was really in a good groove because those are some flatter miles. I think I came through the half at about 1 hour, 23 minutes and either 3 or 6 seconds. I forget. I always get the clock and my actual time mixed up, but which I was happy with because, again, like that first video, I wanted to go out controlled and to set myself up for a nice second half to go under 2:45. I really did try for that negative split for everyone that was watching, and as you know, I didn't get that negative split, but I think I set myself up for a good second half. As you turned out, the second half is like a big out and back. The hardest part for me was right about miles, say 15 or 16 to 18. And it wasn't a matter of like the wall or anything like that. It was just the wind had picked up. The rain started coming down a little bit harder. It almost felt like it was hailing, but I think it was just the wind and the rain. Plus I was just, my skin was a little cold, that when it was hitting me, it felt like it was hail. But so getting through that section was, mentally tough. And then I broke the race down into 3 chunks, which I'll go over at the end of this video. But, at the turnaround, it was a very big, it almost seemed like a little town. I don't really know Philadelphia very well, but it was a big crowd support at the turnaround, which was very motivating. And then once I hit the turnaround, I just felt like I was home free, just because at that point you're heading back towards the finish line. So yeah, overall, even the last, when I started, taking off 20, 21, 22, and then it just became, I almost started visualizing, the runs I do around here, but how far is 4 miles? All right, 4 miles is, this loop I always do, or 3 miles is this out and back, just to help me wrap my head around the distance that I had left, because when it's just a straight point to point on a course, you don't know it, you don't have any landmarks to get you through it, you're just kind of waiting for the mile clock to show up, and that's how you're on your next mile. Obviously I had a watch on as well, but so I definitely I kicked it hard home. Ended up with a 2:47.05. I don't want to say I'm not unhappy about that. It was over an 11-minute PR. Yeah, so it would be an 11 minute and 15 second, I think, if I'm doing math correctly, and if not, I'll correct it. But it's hard to be disappointed with that big of a PR in a marathon. So I'm not satisfied. I don't want to sound like I set this goal and I didn't achieve it and I'm satisfied. So I definitely will. I definitely will be back in the marathon. But even at the end after I crossed, I felt my hamstrings were getting a little bit crampy and tight, and I think that's just the result of running 26 miles for me. With the base I had and stuff, I definitely had a very good base, but I think overall I definitely ran the best race that I possibly could, I guess. I don't strategically, I don't know if I would have changed anything. Would the different weather have helped? I don't know. The weather was what it was. I didn't have control over it. So, 2:47.05 is my time, and that's that. But yeah, overall, I'm happy with the way I executed my plan, and I'm happy that I fought till the end and didn't because there was a point, I think it was probably with about 4 miles to go, I looked at the clock and kind of thought, all right, I'm gonna have to throw down some pretty good mile splits here to get under 2:45. And I still didn't give up. I was still clawing right to the end. I fought for every second. My watch had said 2:47 flat, and when I crossed, I was wondering if I maybe got a 2:46.59, but I guess, I don't know if I hit it earlier, there was 2 mats on the floor or something, but 2:47.05 is the official time. Yeah, so I do want to share like 5 tips or 5 lessons that I learned that actually worked out pretty well for me. So the first one, like I've been saying in this video and the last video, be patient. So these more apply for a longer race, a marathon or a half marathon or something, but be patient, make a plan. If you have a coach, or if you don't have a coach, definitely, go into the race with an idea of, the paces you've been running and, what's a relaxed, comfortable pace to get you through a certain point of the race. And then, so definitely be patient. Like I said, you're in a marathon, you're gonna feel great the first half. You should feel great the first half, so it's very easy to overexcite yourself and go out a little bit too hard. I definitely could have come through the half way faster than 1:23, but it would not have, set me up to run a 2:47 full. The second thing I wanted to share was break down your race. So what I did, and I don't know if there's a actual official name for this strategy. It's called 10-10-10. So 10 miles, and then 10 kilometers. So mentally, I just wanted to get to the 10-mile mark at the start. So I just broke it down. It was almost, counting down, all right, 10 miles, 9 miles, 8 miles, until I got to that, 10-mile mark. And then it almost reset, and I had another 10-mile, miniature race to get to the next checkpoint. And then mentally, when you say 10-10-10, you're thinking, all right, there's 3 parts to this, and it sounds like they're all, even, because 10-10-10. And when I got to the 20-mile mark, I think it was the 20-mile mark might be just before or just after the turnaround. So obviously hitting that last turnaround is a big mental boost, but when you get to mile 20 and you think, all right, step 2 is done, and then I only had 10K left, which is 6.2 miles. So I felt like that was, a mental, breeze, or a mental, it definitely helped mentally, so to speak. So going from having 10-mile chunks down to 6.2, it was easily attainable, it was easy to digest, it was easy for me to, push myself knowing only 6.2, only 6.2 left, only 10K. So the third lesson or tip that I could offer is stick to a nutrition plan. Whether that's your pre-race nutrition, definitely your in-race nutrition. There was those early miles, I did not want to, drink the Gatorade Endurance that was out there, or take a gel that was, I was reaching out to get. I didn't, you think, oh, I don't need it right now, I feel great, but, the beginning part of the race of your nutrition plan is going to set you up for the end. So don't overlook those early miles. Definitely have a nutrition plan, break it down, practice it, and work that going forward. Don't ignore those early miles. So the fourth tip or lesson I wanted to share is don't be scared to run by feel, or definitely have a good idea of what a certain pace feels like, and here's why. I did wear, I wore my Polar watch during the race. There was some spots that the GPS was just not picking up, and this was everyone around me. This is not a knock on Polar or Garmin or anyone else. It just was, I don't know if it was the buildings or the city or something. There was some splits that we were all looking down at our watch, and it was saying a 10-minute pace, and then we would look down and it would say 5, and we were all kind of joking about how good we felt running, a 5:05 pace at that given moment. But it was those times that I had to rely on, internally feeling the pace and just trusting my training. So if you're someone that always checks your watch during a race, and you're doing a big city marathon, just be prepared that sometimes it might not work up to the way it works out on the open roads. Definitely try doing some workouts that you're not, perfectly staring at your watch all the time and honing in on a pace based off what your watch is saying. Just kind of go by feel. So that would be the fourth tip. And my last and final tip that I could offer you, as you saw in my last video, I wanted a 2:44.59. That was a huge, would have been a huge, over a 13-minute PR. And I want to encourage everyone, if anyone learned anything from me kind of being outspoken about wanting a huge PR, don't be scared to set a big goal. Don't be scared to, voice it to someone, because as you saw, shooting for a 2:44.59 landed me at a 2:47.05, which is, still an 11-minute PR. I could have been conservative and went out and wanted to run, a minute faster than my 2:58 PR, or I wanted to run a 2:55 or a 2:50, but I'm proud of myself that I went in there with the mindset of running under a 2:45, and I tried to stick to a plan that I did. I did stay within myself and kind of made adjustments during the race. So, if you take away anything from this, don't be scared to dream big. Don't be scared to set big goals for yourself, even if you don't reach them on the first time. I obviously didn't reach this goal, but you better believe I'll be back to go under 2:45. So. With that being said, oh yeah, this race did qualify me for the Boston Marathon in 2020. So I got my eye on, or I'm sorry, this race did qualify me for the Boston Marathon in 2021. So I do have my eye on that, and I already have my eye on a few races for next year. So overall, I would highly recommend the Philadelphia Marathon. It was a great experience for me. I don't really have any complaints about it. I wish it wasn't so cold and wet, but hey, what are you going to do? So it's November and it's the Northeast, but yeah, so I'm already working on my schedule for 2020. I think I'm done racing for 2019. I do have this small little goal that I want to run 2,000 miles in 2019, but I'm pretty close. I think I'm about 235 miles away, so we'll see. I'm gonna see how my legs feel over the next few days, take a few days off, and then go from there. So, all right, I guess that wraps up the Philadelphia Marathon series. If you watched from the beginning, thank you. If not, I will link the whole series over here. Yeah, so thanks. And any questions, let me know. All right, see you soon.